The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast are those of the host/guest and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any of BXR entities and those they represent.
What's up, people? I'm sorry. I'm in here just chuckling at myself. I am here today. We took a little break off of last week, well, last month, really. And just got some things in order. As I said, this last school year was really difficult for me because I got to see a lot of truths about our education system, about the state of our children, their education. Um, just a lot of different things was going on, particularly in the space of the school environment that I work in. I also have been really focused on building my businesses and rebranding them. I'm not new to being a business owner or entrepreneurship. However, I am taking the time to relearn things and catch up on things that I didn't quite focus a lot of my attention on. And I really have had the artist exchange. I've had that for a number of years. I started the group itself when I was about 23. So that's about 16 years, and about the same amount of time for the jewelry business. And I've learned so many different things based off of the mistakes that I've made. I've learned a lot about myself. I learned about community and engagement and just the business practices. And a lot of that stuff, I'm showcasing a lot of those hurdles that I've gone through and a number of the projects that I'm working on currently. One of them being the Black to the Future event that is being sponsored by the Black Arts District here in Baltimore. And at this event, my primary purpose for it was creating a space for entrepreneurs to grow, network, and just get better at a lot of the things that we don't do well. I was watching TV last night, and online, and I stumbled upon a new show by Just Hilarious, a comedian here from Baltimore named Just Hilarious, and I believe she shoots it here in Baltimore. And they were talking about a lot of, customer service, entrepreneurship within the Black community issues. And one of the main issues is, as Black people, we spend our money everywhere, which isn't a problem. And it would not be as much of a problem if other cultures did that. And if we didn't focus really a lot of that on our community first and foremost. But one of the things that I can say about people of color, we get the things that we want, but we don't focus on how that dollar circulates. As a Black community in general, outside of Hispanic, outside of Jewish, outside of just the white general population community, our money circulates the least amongst the world cultures, just in general, especially here in the United States, our international cultures, and just our cultures in general, the different sections of it, our money circulates the least. And the problem with that is it does not touch our community enough to strengthen us like other cultures, like the Jewish culture, like the white European cultures, like the Asian cultures, like the Hispanic cultures. And I really want us to, as a community, begin to learn how to, one, work together how to make that dollar circulate more, and how to really focus our attention on how we can improve our relations with each other, i.e., customer, business owner, i.e., neighbors, our, you know, fellow entrepreneurs, whatever that may be. This culturally, we are really getting it wrong when it comes to how we do business and how that business is then circulated amongst itself. Like how many times does that money circulate within our community? And I really think we should focus more time on getting that together in order and figuring out how we can do better long term and um, throughout life or whatever have you. I'm really excited about a lot of the things that I see, not only that I'm creating, but the things that I may be involved in and the things that I see friends and associates are starting to do. And just things that I'm noticing in the community at large. There's a bigger emphasis on us being partners and working together. But I think we really need to strengthen that tool of community and socializing and networking, because we need to really get better at that, because a lot of our stuff would last longer. A lot of our stuff would um, be more sustainable long term. But we have to get out of that system as that system of I want to be the goat. I want to be the person making all the moves and worry about community. You can have, I don't, this space that I'm in right now, I lend it to other jewelry makers, other artists, other entrepreneurs, because I know what it feels like to need a space of your own, and how important that is in your growth. So I lend this space a lot more times than I should do it. But I know the payoff would be much more. The payoff would be much more if we work together more. But everybody wants to hold on to their bag, and they want your bag and their bag and the bag of the person next to them and next to you as well. But it is harming us not to have it together the way we need to. And I'm really trying to focus in on a way to making that uh, more of a thing within our community. And I really want us to succeed. I love seeing people grow. And it's not just about money, because I do a lot of my support for free. A lot of the things that I do is for free. And I really want to emphasize that. So the every month we do a program. This month it'll be on the 23rd of July, and we'll be doing a program, Black to the Future, where we have a workshop series right in the middle of it, and then the rest of it is a networking session with my co-host Shinya Wright. And again, we're being sponsored by the Black Arts District, and it's in the Be More Green um, marketplace right off of North Avenue. And I'm really excited again that this is happening. And then just an idea that I have is starting to blossom into something where we bring in a speaker once a month and we have them demonstrate some tasks that they are experts in and helping us to get better. This June, our last month, we had Miss Nikki Scroggins, a really good friend of mine by way of Coppin State University. She is a fundraiser. That's what she does for a living. She's raised millions of dollars in her time at both um, at her job places, but she also does private consulting as well. So I'm really excited about, that was really a great space, because she taught people how to initially reach out and how to do the research. And every month we bring in a person that is an expert, not only just in business, but we'll have some more wellness and more health and more mental health, physical health individuals come and demonstrate their work in a workshop format. That's a little different than what you would typically get at a workshop, but it nevertheless is really for us, by us, in support of all of us. So that's one big project that I'm working on. If you did not know, if you haven't been following me on social media, You can go to my pages and you can find out the activities that I'm doing um, throughout the month or things that are coming up right now. Every Saturday, I do a pop-up shop here at Vashta Blue Jewelry Studio. Every Saturday, I welcome in another guest, artist, or entrepreneur to come and showcase their work in a pop-up format. And at 1734 Maryland Avenue. In addition to that, we do workshops throughout the week, throughout the month, that are geared towards, art, entrepreneurship. Right now, I'm working on a project. In addition to all that, I'm working on a project with Baltimore Fashion Week that opens up August the 15th. And I'll be doing the off the rack portion of that event. And I've been a part of other fashion shows before where I use where they use my work, clothing designers use my work to enhance their garments. But this is my first time uh, headlining my own showcase of accessories, and I'm working hard to create some looks. And you'll start seeing some of the behind the scenes of that in the next couple of days. But I'll be showing more photos, and in this month of July, where I'll be hustling to get things in order and creating things, and you'll see more content in that way of that. You'll see some of the models may be coming on. Some of the people involved with Baltimore Fashion Week may be coming on for interviews on our Friday shows. And I'm here. I'm really excited about all the stuff that I'm planning. My website is finally at a space where it's just getting tweaked and things are being added, like merchandise. I'm getting photos done, courtesy of Miss Tracy Jiggets and her photography company, and a number of other artists that have supported me in that way. So we'll have a website up is the dash artistexchange.com. And on that, you'll get a lot of media, a lot of the stuff that I'm doing in media, whether I'm producing other stuff, uh, the Be Exposed links, as well as everything that I do media. You'll find everything about Vashta Blue Jewelry Studio. There'll be an artist directory, and as a portion of this, where all the artists that I have come through my Saturday pop-up series, artists that I have, if you want to be a part of that, you can definitely email me at the Artist Exchange radio show at gmail.com. So you can be a part of that directory of artists and entrepreneurs so people can know where to find you at. So we'll have that. What else is on the website? What else? My workshops, I facilitate workshops as well. So a number of my creative and business oriented workshops will be listed online, and you can bring us to your organization, your next event, and their prices and availability, all that on there, that where you'll be able to book us and be able to utilize the services that we offer as well. So with all that being said, the website should be launching on July the 30th. That's a Saturday. So we'll do a big pop-up here at the studio, and you'll be able to see all that. Today's show, we have two big hot topics. We'll be talking about the woman that has gone viral on social media, bashing her child's father for not bringing all her children McDonald's. And we'll talk about that later in the show. We don't have a lot of time. We start a little bit late today. But our first story for the day is Mr. R. Kelly. Um, mm, he's been charged with racketeering and sex trafficking in the cases, in many of the cases. So these is a number of cases, and Monty was just telling me the proof came from a number of videos that have been handed over um, in support of, sentencing him, or he was already in jail, but he was brought back to trial because of this new set of information and evidence of videos that
Oh, no, I'm sorry. It was always all along a part of it.
Huh?
It was always a part of it because he's been convicted for a while.
hmm But they were actually sentenced. And it's probably taking this long, one, because we were in the middle of COVID and just trial logs have been put on in place. I know a lot of people who are waiting on court dates or, you know, but I'm not on the fence about the sentencing. I am on the fence about how people are choosing to speak out against it, and how social media, and both of our stories today, how social media is the first stop for communicating, first and only stop for how we communicate with individuals now. I'm not, I, I cannot judge R. Kelly. I don't have a heaven or hell to put him in. I'm not defense, prosecution, jury, or judge. Um, for him, I think that was Bill Cosby that we just saw up there, who was about to go through yet another trial based off of a couple witnesses from a young lady that was at the Playboy Mansion back in the 70s. But for R. Kelly, I am uncomfortable about how this is being unfolded. And I'll go back to a message that I had. And feel free to comment, say how you feel. These are my opinions and how I feel. And I'm very open to how you feel, even if you disagree with what I'm saying. But listen to me. Ask a question before you just assume I'm defending R. Kelly. My perspective comes from the individuals who are commenting or are have gotten him in jail. So let me read the thing that I wrote first, and then that'll kind of explain where I'm at with this. I said, now that your selective public outrage has helped to get him 30 years, what are you going to do about your personal rape? And I put rap, so I got to put rape. Your personal rape trauma. Uh, what are you going to do about your personal rape trauma? Or has your rapist, aunt, uncle, teacher, dad, grandfather, neighbor, priest, mother's boyfriend, pastor, first love been given a pass since you've helped to get one? Or will you continue to live vicariously through the verdicts of the celebrity rape and sexual assault trials? My point by saying that was, what are we doing in our personal lives to seek healing, to seek validation, not validation, that's the wrong word to use, uh, vindication, justice, healing, growth in our own trauma stories? Now, I preface this by saying it's not something that I always put out front, because I'm doing the work for me. As a survivor of sexual assault as a child, uh, I I was an individual that just pushed it in and just thought I could start my life. And by the time I got to 30, this happened as a young teen and a child. Um, by the time I was 30, I started to see how the reaction unconsciously was coming out in my relationships with people, in my interactions with people, in my demeanor. Um, and I began to do the work to reverse a lot of that and to move forward, really. But I don't see the move forward part. We've grown into a space where people are very comfortable with being victims and living as victims, and keeping it there. I always tell a story, and one day, hopefully, I can get this family member to come on and tell her story. Um, but maybe she's not there yet. But I just remember this family member um, having been molested, however many times it's unknown to me, um, by this other family member, and how the family reacted to it. It became a part of gossip and conversation at family functions where this person was still invited, where this person was still welcome into homes, where this person was known to, what people was like, well, don't let him be around your children, but the person still was there. So we can bury R. Kelly and Bill Cosby and all the other black uh, people who has not been proven guilty or innocent or have been committed to being guilty, um, said or convicted. Um, we can lock them and bury them under the jail and wait for them to die. But what are you doing in your personal lives? That statement, that's all that statement was. And sometimes when I post things like that, people get very angry because they're in the midst of their unhealing. And we can't keep walking around as these broken vessels, expecting for one day for us to just be healed. And it's not going to happen. It's a choice that you have to make as a person that was gone through these things, that you don't want to feel that way anymore, that you don't want to keep reliving that way anymore. And as Ian Levenzette would say, keep getting high off of the story, off of the action. And I'm not bashing the victims or the survivors, rather, of those things. What I'm saying to you is you cannot stay stuck in this angry cycle when, in fact, many of you are raising your children to become R. Kellys. We're raising our children to be in a space where they are becoming R. Kellys. One, because the man who has raped your child or who has raped you is still in your household. It's still welcome to your household. We're putting these unrealistic ideals into our young boys and our young girls to be sexually permissive. You know, it's okay to be sexually what is it called? Sexually free. And we're raising them in a space where it's telling them that their sexuality, their outer shell is more important than what's inside of them. And I'm not saying it's our fault as a community that there's an R. Kelly, but I'm saying that it's our fault as a community that there's an R. Kelly. When the stories first came out, there should have been more outrage, should have been more emphasis on getting him convicted and off the streets and out of the spaces of children or entertainment environment that is heavily young people driven. Get him out of those spaces, and not just knowing about it and, well, he didn't do it to me, so therefore, that's telling our children that this behavior is okay. And you're not physically saying that, but your actions are showing young people that is okay. And the ones that have been victimized by that type of behavior, whether it be from R. Kelly, whether it be from someone like him, you're telling people it's okay. It's okay. You'll get through. All you gotta say is the person was lying, or on the side of people who use rape as a weapon towards specifically men of color, weaponizes it. You're telling them it's okay for them to continue doing because there's no accountability when someone is found to have been lying about being molested or being raped. And there are people who are lying about it. I think it's way more people who are telling the truth about it than are lying about it or are using it for a couple minutes of fame. However, I'm not defending R. Kelly. I'm simply saying we need to look at healing before and instead of simply harping on another monster is in jail. So he's in jail now. He's in jail for 30 years. He probably won't get out till he's about 85, 86 years old. What are you going to do now for your health? Are we going to continue to unveil or reveal the men who have done this to people? If that's the case, then let's do it. Let's go across the board. We still support individuals who have been known. We still keep their legacy alive. We still are entertained by them. But if there's, if they could get past it, then we don't say anything. There are certain people, and that's why I said selective rage, selective outrage, because we still let certain people who have been accused, maybe put into jail, we still allow them to have their lives, but other people we don't. And I know the deeds of R. Kelly have piled up for a couple decades now, and it's horrible when you look at it in its entirety, even as the individual situations. But somebody allowed that to continue to happen. We can't just keep crying victim when we go back. We can't keep going. And I'm uncomfortable talking about it in this way because it feels as though you're victim shaming, but I'm not. As victims, as survivors, rather, you have to figure out a way to figure out how do we move forward. You know, and us focusing on R. Kelly, they got legislation for abortions passed. Let the judges, let the courts do their job. Fix your life. Be able to move forward in your life and be healthy, viable individuals who can make sound decisions, and you're not continuously getting high off the story of I've been raped, I've been molested. And my even this conversation I'm having right now is not even for the person who has gone through it. It's for the people on the outskirts of that who don't support healing, but they support outrage. Outrage gets you nowhere, but with a heart attack or a stroke, dead. That's where that ends up. That's where that outrage ends up. High blood pressure, strokes, heart disease, all that. That's where that comes from. Walking around with a boulder on your shoulders. I don't know time because what is those 30 years supposed to do? Is the 30 years equate to the moments that he's taken away from individuals that may be underage? Um, does the 30 years vindicate all of the other people who conspired against them that turned in some type of evidence and probably got a plea deal? Um, I don't know what 30 years can do. With 30 years, if the person and persons that I've had that trauma with, would 30 years be enough for me to feel better? No. If they gave him 1,000 years, it would not make you feel better. If you knew he was going to die in jail, it would not make you feel better when he died. It would only bring it up if you have not done the work that's required. And this work is not only the work by the individual, but by the people that's surrounding them. I hate how social media has become, it's a double-edged sword. On one side, it has allowed people who feel like they don't have a voice in the bigger conversations to have a voice. But it also has crippled many of us to that's where that stays. Well, this is my first recourse. I know people who have been molested and been raped and been victimized, been tortured, and they've never sought any legal vindication. They've only gone to YouTube or Facebook or Instagram or so on and so forth to talk about it. But if you're not getting the follow-up support that you need to get through it, I don't know what to say to you. I don't know how else to support. All I can say, what has helped me is to do the day-to-day work of not erasing it from my mind, but really, I don't know. It makes me uncomfortable. It makes me completely uncomfortable talking about issues like this because I don't think we'll ever be in a space where we can all see eye to eye on it. Like for me, I know that there's an attack on Black men. Is that attack in this R. Kelly. I think like 5%, but I can't speak on whether is justified. I can't because I don't know if there's enough time for all of the people who have come out to seek validation or vindication of what he's alleged that done to them. I don't know. I can't speak on that. I don't know if it's enough time. I don't know if it will ever feel different. I know many people are battling him as a man and him as an artist. I know he's probably going to make more money in jail than he would have made if he was still fighting these cases because people will still seek out his work. People probably still paying him to write songs and give instructions on production for music. Um, yeah, I don't um I don't foresee him being a person that's name and legacy is just going to walk away. So what does what happens when there are tons of people that still want to play his music? What do you do then when you show up to a club and they're playing R. Kelly? What happens then beyond you just walking out the club? What you probably not going to do because many of you are going to stay. And I've seen people do this. I've seen people go live in a club because they were playing R. Kelly and complain about it. What you gonna do? His name is not going to be erased. I'm not saying that's a good thing or a bad thing, but his name is not going to be erased. You're going to continue to see his music. You're going to continue to see his contribution to music. Um, yeah, one of my favorite songs now is "I Look to You," one of Whitney Houston's last songs, written by R. Kelly. Some of the some of the best songs we know written by R. Kelly. Does that justify us still listening to it? It doesn't. Does that make the people who have uh, been through sexual assault at the hands of him or by someone else, does it help them? Does it make them feel better? It doesn't. But my whole issue is healing. How will you heal from this? And many of us can't even say how we can heal from this verdict because you can't heal from a verdict of somebody else. You can't. Court case has nothing to do with you. But people have lived through these verdicts of these celebrity misconducts and sexual assault and rape and molestation trials. You've lived vicariously through them, just like we live vicariously through the criminal trials, the other criminal trials rather. But how do you move forward? How do you heal from your own personal trauma? You know, how do we stop perpetuating this type of behavior within our community? So are we only focused on when celebrities do it? There are plenty of men walking around who have raped and molested. There are plenty of women around who have raped and molested young boys and girls. Priests, pastors, neighbors, grandfathers, fathers, aunts, cousins, babysitters. Go down the list of people who have done these things. Um, does it make it any better? No. You know, what will you do? What will you do when you find out one of your children have to go through this? We've seen how in the media certain people are attacked for it, certain people are believed for it, and it all depends on what they look like or how they come across. Is their story believable? But what do you do in your own personal life to have the same type of vindication that some of these women who are part of this last lawsuit are having? Because many of them are going to go home, and guess what? They haven't done the work, so they're still going to feel a certain kind of way. Even with him being locked away for 30 years, if he decides to appeal this, we have to deal with that because it's going to be another court case. You know, um, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Um, Marty, do you have any opinions on this case?
I completely felt you get ready to call my name.
Because I'm uncomfortable
Because I
with this.
don't
I really
have
am.
an opinion on that tip.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because, like you said, you are coming from someone that has experienced similar situations. I have not.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I've been so quiet, because I
Right.
come off of the R. Kelly thing as in whatever anybody thinks of this entire situation on not believing some or all or little of the people that have been molested or raped or to this manner. If you believe that one person has been done, then this is justified.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So that's where I come into this at, because I can't step into the shoes of somebody that has had that happen to them, but I can say from the outside looking in, whether it was 1 or 2 or 50, the verdict is justified.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with that. So I'm not standing in judgment of the sentencing or the charges. What I'm simply saying is, what are you going to do now?
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to continue to make posts and angry rants about R. Kelly? He's in jail.
Well, no, I've seen that die down. I saw that die down after the last, when he first got convicted, and then it was that big, people was posting a whole bunch of stuff about it then, and then it died down, and now it's back because of the verdict, what the actual sentence is, and now we see it coming back up. Well, I'm still going to play his music. I'm still going to do that. Fine. Just now, what you're playing, the music that you're playing outside of what you said with Whitney Houston and stuff like that, because those are more, those writings of his were more mature, and they weren't about what he was doing. Right. Whereas his music in particular, the songs that he wrote for himself, were telling a story of exactly what he was doing. Now, if you still say, I'm going to play that, and the meaning behind the song, then that's on you. You justifying that to yourself, that what he did was okay enough for me to continue to play his music. Age ain't nothing but a number, says a lot.
But and the part that I know from me that sounds like a defense is, we breed Black men to do these things. I can't speak for any other culture, but we breed.
But was he bred to do this?
Yeah, I mean, his brother,
because he was actually molested himself and then continued the thing. Then continued the process.
And that wouldn't justify me molesting someone. It doesn't. But you have to understand what happens.
But I get what you're saying, though. I mean, just to go back on what I just said, I get what you're saying. The children are brought. These children from, I want to say, 6 decades till now, 6 decades back until now, were bred to say, with that toxic masculinity thing, that you should look at a woman this way, and if she approaches you, you know what you should do. Even at 10 years old.
Right, because now we're calling that type of behavior creepy and rapey like, and I'm not going against that.
Just like what we saw with D-Ray, when we were talking about D-Ray the other day, in that video where he was had the interview with Vlad. Yeah. And he was talking about his experiences, and they were laughing in the background, but he was serious. Mm-hmm. He may have said it with like a little chuckle, but they were like dying laughing in the background, like this is normal. Yeah. For a 10-year-old to be having sex with 2 grown women. Yeah. I'm trying to think the story with DMX, the same thing. Mm-hmm. Him talking about being molested as a young boy. I remember Bobby Brown just wrote a book. Part of that was in there, being molested as a young boy and not understanding. He knew he didn't like when the pastor touched him, the priest touched him when he was younger, but he didn't give that same energy to when these older women, grown women, were touching him and him having sex. I think he told a story about having sex with a woman in jail when he was underage and she was grown. Like it makes me uncomfortable that we have these environments that where we don't protect our children, and when our children grow up to be examples of the environment that they grew up in, now we're outraged. He's an animal. He's disgusting. That makes me uncomfortable because you did nothing
to alleviate or kind of push back on what you saw this child was going through. And I say that because another one of my family members and me, this book process that I'm going through is really a struggle because a lot of this stuff is coming up. But I remember me disclosing, me having a conversation with one of my family members and her telling me, you've gone through a lot. I'm very proud of you. You had so many reasons not to be where you are right now, or you could have been somewhere totally different. And it pissed me off because you saw these things happening. But I had to go back, maybe that person, and knowing that person's story, some of it, they went through something. So what could they have given to me that they wasn't given, or they needed to be given to them? But we have to stop pushing people to a space of they're animals, they're disgusting. We just talked about this with Will Smith. We can't keep pushing people to a point and then crime victim when they show out and they grow up to be the animals that we now call them. So what are you doing in your life with the young people that you are in charge of or around or in support of or that are in your school? What are you doing now to keep them from being another R. Kelly? Like, what are you doing? What are you doing to heal from the R. Kelly that was in your life? What are you doing? You can't blame everything that I've gone through on R. Kelly indirectly. You can't continue to do that because he's in jail now. Now what? He's there for the next 30 years. He probably won't get appealed for about 15, 18 years. What you gonna do?
He's on suicide watch right now.
For R. Kelly?
Yeah.
And part of my question is, even once I saw that video of what's her name, Gayle King, doing an interview with him, I've seen that reaction before in a man. I've seen that reaction before. I don't think it was for TV. I think he was seriously in a space of why the fuck not realizing what he is doing and how it's harming somebody else. Because many people have allowed him to do it. It's happened to him and nothing happens. So now you're mad, but you watched this happen. So many of the parents who have spoken out and made comments probably during this trial or on social media, what was your part in this? I heard many people say, well, are the people who work for him and the parents now will be put on trial now that they've gotten him sentenced? Are they next? Because many of them began with me and Monty was talking, and my argument was for many of the people who are speaking out now who are involved, many of them are speaking out and involved because the money stopped. He can no longer afford to pay them, or he chose to stop paying them in many cases. So is this why we're now speaking out? We still haven't heard from the music companies that continue to give him money to do what he did, even after all these trials, when anybody else.
I just want to pull back on what you just said, though, because you said, is it because the money stopped? But isn't that the right reason to speak up? If you were paying me to be quiet, you stopped paying me. Now it's time for me to talk.
Yeah. But in this,
I was just trying to make that. I wanted to understand that because is that wrong?
But because the outcome ended good, does it make the process bad? Because you were keeping this secret when you were getting paid.
Right.
So that's extortion.
Or robbery.
Robbery or extortion, really.
Well, not if you were paying me to be quiet. That's robbery, not extortion. Extortion would me telling you, you're going to pay me.
Oh, that happened to him. We've seen that happen. That's why he got off with some of the other trials, because people did that. They did that very thing with the video that came out.
But that was different. But I think in the way you're trying to say it though is that he was paying people to be quiet because he didn't want them to talk. That's him paying them. That's him bribing them to shut up. And when the money stopped, they started talking.
But it doesn't. But that's still a part of a crime, though.
It is. No, I'm not saying that. But you
knowingly turning.
But the suspect, are the one that triggered the bribery, not the other way around, where you really extorted to be quiet.
And I agree with you. I agree, but though.
So it would have still been him committing the crime. They just took the option.
Mm-hmm. But those same people who were like, that connects into our other story, McDonald's, those same security officers that were taking him to the McDonald's, those same people that were around him, friends and individuals that were taking him to the malls.
Okay, all the people that saw him doing what he was doing.
Who let those young ladies backstage and into the brought them upstairs to the hotel room. You know, my focus is not on the individual anymore. It's all the people that surround him, because that becomes the problem. Because if one of those people like Sparkle, who pushed the issue of him being brought to trial because she saw her niece in that first sex video he made, is that enough? Is it enough?
Right, but I understand what you're saying, but it's no recourse to hold them accountable for anything, because the evidence isn't there.
And see, well, many of them testified to seeing things and turning, that's
right, but that's still evidence against him.
It was
not against their
case will always be, no matter what is said, it will always come out not in his favor.
Mm-hmm.
But my focus is all the people that contribute to that type of behavior, or they allow it because there's some type of financial gain. And I'm not taking the light off of him, but the light is big enough for all of them. And that's my point in this is, as victims, we have to then understand how to move forward, because staying stuck at simply blaming or accusing is not enough. Like you have to be a whole individual, and those things stick with you. Even to this day, when I see certain types of people, it makes me uncomfortable. And I'm uncomfortable in those situations, and I remove myself. It's one of the reasons that I don't, go to clubs, or I don't hang out in group. I'm uncomfortable by those things. Even as a grown man, I don't want to put myself in a situation where I'm uncomfortable based off of those experiences that I've had. One of those experiences was at the hands of a supervisor at one of my first jobs. And as a teenager, and I was put into a very uncomfortable situation where I felt I was forced to do something that I did not want to do. To this day, I don't really make friends at work. I don't want to be that involved, because I felt as a child, as a teen, I felt that I put myself in a situation by making friends. And that was something that I had to break. With some therapy and just some, self-work, I felt like I had to break that habit. My point in all this, my perspective, because I don't really like talking about celebrity stuff, but in a situation like this was a serious topic, I think we need to now begin to do the work. Do we get the next one? Who's next on the list? But I don't want this a witch hunt with the foundation of I'm broken. I could not get vindication in my story, so I'm going to make sure this person goes to jail, because we're finding that there are situations where people are going to jail unjustifiably. And they're rape cases. One of the biggest ones that we know of is Emmett Till. And now there's a push to get this lady who still lives in Maryland. She's probably like 80-some years old now. put to trial because her accusation caused someone to be killed, a child to be killed. And that's a big extreme from R. Kelly to this, but it's not. No one lost their life at the hands of R. Kelly. Not to defend him, because what he did was just as bad as murder. But yeah, so I just think we need to be in a space of healing and growth, and social media shouldn't be my pulpit to recovery. It can't be, because there's too many different variables, too many different opinions. That's going to trigger you just because somebody doesn't agree with you. So that's one of the reasons I feel like it should not be a space where people go to gripe and to accuse because often it discredits you because you got a lot of pressure on your chest in terms of you putting this out on Facebook and trying to be the first person to put it out. That makes me uncomfortable. Does that mean you can say anything, and because you use a certain amount of characters or you put it on a certain platform, I'm automatically guilty because you said it. That's a small part of it, but ultimately, can we heal? Can we grow? Can we move forward? And again, you're speaking to a person who has gone through this. But I also tell a story about having two separate occasions where two uncles were in this situation where they both were accused of raping someone, and come to find out that both of those people were lying. So that's the other side of my argument. And many people are like, well, that doesn't happen a lot. Well, for me, twice. But I'm gonna go on to the next story because this one is it's triggering to a lot of people, and I understand.
Woo!
What the hell?
I'm sorry, that was me.
That was a transition?
Yes. It's triggering.
The second one is more triggering. So the second story, it made me uncomfortable. So I'll tell my backstory before I present. Can you put the photo up there? The young lady. So I'm going to tell my story, and then we can play, I guess.
I don't have the photo out yet.
So I'll tell my story, and then we can play the video then.
Yeah.
The first video.
Gotcha.
So in my experience, I've had two men in my life. I'll just stick with the two of them. My mother didn't date a whole bunch of men. But I'll just say in general, the relationships that my mom has had with other men outside of my father, it was, and from what I can see and what I understand, it was not a question that you're going to take care of my children too when you're with them. And I never heard my mother say, and I don't believe my mother would ever be the type of woman that would be, well, you took care of them then, you will continue to take care of them. I don't think my mother would have said that or feels that way. I'll speak more specifically about, I have a younger sister. I'll speak more specifically about her father. Now, when my mom was with him, there was an understanding, I'm sure, if you do something for this child, your child, you're going to do something for this child over here. You're not going to buy this one something to eat, and we're all out, and you only get him something, her something to eat, and you don't get him something to eat. That wasn't a situation in my life. She did have that attitude towards anybody that outside of somebody she was in a relationship with, doing something like a family member or friend. You're not going to buy this child something and you don't buy this child nothing. We're not doing that. But specifically the person that she was in a relationship with, it was an understanding. You're in a relationship with me, you got me, and you got this child along with, so this we a package deal, so to speak. Well, this situation, and I never got his name or her name. I think he's been kind of made to be blank, so you don't see him in the photo or anything. But in this situation, the father, I guess, is no longer with the mother, and he is seeing and that was the uncomfortable part for me. So if we can play the first video, we can do that and see what that looks like.
Look, y'all. Every fucking day, my baby daddy come here with one fucking meal for my child. But I have 3 other kids. We have 1 kid together, but he only want to come and bring one thing to McDonald's. But what about my other kids? How come you can't feed my other kids McDonald's though? Like that's bogus as hell. Like you're not finna sit here and make my other kids feel left out, and you're only bringing one child something to eat. Look, there he go, and I bet you he only got one thing in there. I bet you he don't even. I'm finna expose out of him so people can see how he really is. It ain't more than enough food in that bag for everybody. What's up? Because I'm finna expose you. What? Because that don't look enough for all my kids. That don't look enough for all my kids. What is that? That's just one burger? One burger, one fry? What he like? What do you mean? Okay, what about my other kids? What about your other kids? Okay, but them your kids' siblings though. What are you talking about? What are you them my kids, them your kids' siblings though. So what you? So my other kids finna be left out. You didn't feed them?
Yeah.
You know I don't give my food stamps to the 7. Lisa, how is that my problem? But if you're trying to help out though, you're not helping out. I'm not trying to help. I'm trying to help my son. How are you helping your son when you're only getting food for just him and not the other kids, his siblings? Lisa, them are his siblings Lisa, though. He's not finna eat in front of all his other siblings, and they're not eating on McDonald's. Why do I gotta bring him out to the car? No. He's not finna eat that shit at all if you can't bring enough for everybody. Lisa, so you telling me that I gotta bring my son food? I gotta bring your kids food too now? Yes. You sound
penalized the
child. How is that dumb? You sound dumb. You sound dumb. Where are their daddies at? Nobody told you to talk to them other. You had them other kids. Them your responsibility. They're not my responsibility. Okay, but if you're gonna bring one, you need to bring it for all. How do that shit look that I'm letting one child eat McDonald's and all the rest of the kids can't eat no fucking McDonald's? So you know I get food stamps on the 11th. That ain't 3 kids. That ain't
McDonald's don't take food stamps.
Yeah, they're his siblings.
First you said
you knew what you was getting into when you had a baby with me. No, I did. Yes, you did. You expect me to take care of all the kids? They're not my kids. Okay, but you still had a baby with me who have kids with other people. I still have other kids.
Look at the emphasis on other people.
Because I'm exposing. Everybody think you such a motherfucking good daddy. No, you're not. No, you're not. You're full of shit in this bullshit. You only come here with one piece of food for one child. The child that's mine, silly. No, that's dumb that you can't feed the other kids. Don't feed nobody at all. Then he can't take that. He can't eat it. Maybe if you had 1 or 2, I could maybe. You got it's 3 extra kids. What the? You all like going to my mother account, spending money on all those kids. Them not my kids. Them are your kids' siblings, though.
That's so stupid.
Those are your fucking kids' siblings. So that means so don't. No, I didn't say you have to take care of them. You can bring them something to eat. If you bring them something to eat. I bring them food every other day. What do you mean? Exactly, but you don't never bring food for the other ones. You know I get my food stamps on the 11th. Your babies. Okay, but I'm saying we share the same kids as well. Absolutely. So if you want to, if you feel like I feel away about eating, take him in the room and let him. I'm not taking my kid in the room. Out to the car. He ain't even got. He got any point. But he come right out to the car with me. No. You know what? Fine. Give it here. Thank you. Give it here. Give it here. Give it here. Done. He ain't eating this.
Now she littering. That's a ticket.
Because you ain't bringing up for all the other kids. You stupid. Selfish is a like you're dumb as hell. You're dumb as hell. He not finna eat that shit. Dumb. Take care of him anyway. Dumb.
We go
he
right
not finna
into
do
the
it. We
next
can't do
video.
it for all. Don't do it for none of them. Bye. Look, y'all.
You said what?
Can we go right into the next video? Do you have the other video?
Hold on, I have to cue it up.
It makes me cringe, especially being as though we have so many mothers also on social media complaining about how bad men are at being fathers and not being in their lives or ghosting them or it just feels crazy to me. It feels, I mean, I don't understand. And as we were joking before the show started, saying how she was emphasizing things that did not make sense in her defense.
You know what? One of the words that's triggering for me is the word siblings.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you buy some food for his other siblings? But that explains it. Because those are his siblings, they're not my children.
Well, so, and I'll go back to this, and maybe you can elaborate too, because I think you're the youngest out of your siblings.
I am.
I'm the oldest.
Mm-hmm.
So my father's family, specifically, I have an Aunt Val who would come get me on holidays and stuff like that as my father's sister.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I can only recall maybe one or two times that she brought my sister along with me, but it was my mother never obligated her to do that because that wasn't her niece.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in other situations, every time I came back, whether because me and my sister we're 4 days apart in terms of our birth dates. Every birthday she would come get me and do something. Every Christmas, every holiday she would do something. Get an Easter basket or something. I would go with her for that weekend or a day or a night or something, and she would always send me back something for my sister. Now, my father didn't do that, but my aunt definitely did that. But she never felt obligated. But the understanding is, you got a sister at home. I'm not going to send you home with something and you got to.
What's interesting?
It's not. It was never her responsibility. My mother never made it her responsibility. It was her choice.
And I can say that my situation is probably similar to that. Like, except for the aunt thing on the other side, on my sister's side, okay?
Right.
They never, I don't recall them ever taking me with her when they came and got her. But on my father's side, they included my sister.
Okay.
A lot.
And that was their choice.
Right. So my sister has a really good, well, hey, I'll say had because it's we all grown now. But back then, children-wise, my sister had a great relationship with my father's side of the family.
Mm-hmm.
They knew her, they watched her grow up and all that kind of stuff like that. But again, with the father situation, no. When she went with her father, she went with her father. I consider all of the siblings, they're my brothers and sisters. Right. I do consider that. Because now we're grown, we also realize that we still are a part of each other's families.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, as children, we were distant because me and my sister are younger than the older siblings.
Right.
So we were a little bit disparate because we were different because we were in different generations, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Now, taking food and all that kind of stuff is a consideration.
Yes. Not an obligation.
Not an obligation. He is not, that's what I'm saying. He is not obligated to bring your child food, your children food, especially when they weren't, the main child probably wasn't even part of the plan. Or y'all would still be together.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's very difficult to try to say that somebody should bring somebody else's child some food when they're not even present in that child's life.
Yeah.
That doesn't even make a whole bunch of sense.
Whether they know them or not.
Whether they know them or not. Because if you know, because here's the thing about this video, if he does this every single week, like you brought up in initially, he does this every single week, then you know what the pattern is. Then
now he said in the
can make
video,
the option to say, I'll give you the money to bring my other children some food when you bring him some food.
Yeah.
But me paying for it, you actually expected me to go into my wallet and pay for your other kids? Girl, you lost.
And that would I could recall my mother doing that. So when those times where
consideration though.
But it was never every time. It was never even if it was like one of my aunts and uncles on either side that would take me and my sister somewhere, my mother would always give them money for us. It was never an obligation for them to do anything for us. You know, or my mother
like
said,
you said,
you
but it was out of consideration.
How much did that cost or something when they bought something for the other child? You know, and it was never like with my sister's father, even today, if I'm with them, he's gonna pay for my stuff too. He's not gonna not pay for mine and only pay for. I remember my sister graduated.
But what kind of I can't even think of the word right now to use. Is that where you expect someone to buy your children
obligation?
Food?
Yeah. It's the audacity of it all.
Right there. It is the word audacity.
It's the audacity that you would assume.
Because you're asking the man that's not the father of your other kids to bring another man's children food.
Now,
instead of you calling that other man.
Now, the thing that for me, the thing that I would do as this father, I would come get my child.
Mm-hmm.
I would come get my child and I would take them to McDonald's.
But that's exactly what he said. I bet you he probably did that from now on.
Yeah.
I bet you he probably did that from now on.
Yeah.
I'm not just going to bring the food and drop it off.
Because that does.
Can you bring my son out? I'm going to take my son to lunch. Now they don't have to see him eat the McDonald's.
Right. But I still see her having a problem with that.
It ain't, but that's not his concern. And again, all of this should be mute because I'm not having this conversation with you about taking care of your kids. Talk to me in front of a judge.
Yeah.
Period. Because it seems like we're not going to fix this issue because you now threw my money on the ground, which is disrespectful. And I think that should be a ground for me reducing your child support.
Yeah, I'm sending
because you can afford this food, right?
I'm sending them to the city because that's a littering fine.
Too, but I'm talking about my money you just wasted on the ground.
Yeah,
how am I going to recoup this?
That's on the family court. That video clip.
And this ain't food stamp food because McDonald's don't take food stamps.
Well, it depends on. Never know. I'm just saying, some people do things, but I get what you're saying. I would suggest that he does that because for me, if you're gonna,
I'm not arguing with you. That's what I'm saying. Once we broke up the argument thing, it should be done. That should have been done.
It seems like no matter what he does, she wants to be angry. So
she wants to be angry, and that's why I say it's a wrap for me. Because if I'm paying you child support, and you just threw something that I just actually came out of my bank account, like you said, his bank account, and bought this food for his child. And I'm paying you child support at the same time, you have the money to go buy whatever food you want for their child, as well as food stamps.
Because this, well, and another
go to the next video because we got to bring this wig into question.
Oh yeah. See, he about to make it personal. Now I'm gonna get cancer because of him.
So the whole world is basically bashing me right now because I'm the baby mama who was upset at her baby daddy because he only decided to give his child McDonald's and not the rest of my other 3 kids. I have 4 kids. You knew the situation when you dated me. Our child is the youngest child. So keep that in mind before y'all make me the villain. That means all my other kids knew him. He was buying the McDonald's when we were together.
Did you put these graphics?
My kids have to go through a transition of our breakup as well. Like, yeah, me and you broke up, but my kids got to feel it too. So now my kids have to see only one of their siblings get McDonald's and not the rest of them. And they know it's coming from you because, of course, like me and you used to be together. They used to see you. You used to do it for them. But now you don't want to do that for them anymore. Like, to me, that's petty. That's petty. Like, it's not fair. Like, you're not finna give one child McDonald's and not all the other kids McDonald's. Like, I'm not going. And then on top of that, you mean to tell me you can dib and dab and want to do it sometimes, but yet you can't feed all my other kids McDonald's though? That's what you mean to tell me? Like, I'm not going for that. I'm going to stand on what I said, and I don't care what everybody else have to say about it. Y'all could judge me. Oh, well, I could be the villain, but I said what I said. Like, if you can't bring everybody McDonald's, then can't nobody have McDonald's then. Period.
And she said what she said, and she mean what she said. Now, Marty's about to get
for him getting joint custody. Period.
Yeah.
And now you lost your opportunity on getting the child support because now he lives with me half of the time.
Or he can just fight for full custody.
Or full. I mean, for him to get full custody, it would be that she's derelict on her duties. And I don't know if that's the case.
I mean, it doesn't.
She just hasn't gotten her food stamps yet. That's all.
But I'm seeing cases where men are being awarded full custody, and it's not. But
that's what I'm saying. If you want to be a correct parent, you should always fight for joint custody in the first place, because I don't think child support should be the end all of being.
Well, in cases where money is an issue, you see them fighting for sole custody.
Mm-hmm.
So money, because if you get joint custody, it's not automatically either parent doesn't have to pay, but you may have joint custody and you just have visitation rights, meaning you can come get that child, or they spend 1 week with you, 1 week, which I think is crazy because that's doing too much for a child's environment. But I do agree with joint custody because a lot of these problems are alleviated, and many women many women who rely on child support get the wind knocked out of them when they aren't awarded child support on the days that they're with them.
Right.
And I just think that is, again, I can only base this off of the mother that I have and her not choosing to fight for, payments or money. I can only speak to the mother that I have and my viewpoints, and because a lot of that is based off of that, and then what I've seen thus far from other people who are friends that
I'm trying to count her money.
Right,
I'm trying to count her money, but honey, that wig wasn't cheap.
No.
That makeup she had on was not cheap. And that right there can total up to the sum of probably 4 days out of a month of McDonald's food for your children.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and there's some possible solutions for that. Like I just thought about that thing of maybe you should take them with you.
Because one of the problems I'm having, because she keeps saying, she kept bringing up that I don't get my food stamps to the 11th. But again, McDonald's.
Well, she just gave 2 dates. She said the 7th.
Regardless, McDonald's don't take food stamps. And here's the problem that I'm going with this. Are you trying to iterate that you don't have no food in your house?
Yeah.
Because then now there's another problem. Yeah. Budgeting. Because that wig was not cheap and the makeup was not cheap. And you should have bought food to put in your house before you dressed your face.
Or do what you need to do in the court system and go get those other, I don't know how many.
Again, that's right. And you're right, because she should have went to go talk to the other parents versus talking to that man about her other children.
Right. Like
you should have talked to that man about your other children when they got parents.
And use him as a standard. Like he comes every other day
and brings food to his child. Exactly, because that's the positive
that I need from you.
That's the positive. Exactly. That is the positive in what he's doing for his child.
Right.
because that's the only responsibility he has in your household is his child, not the rest of them, not the siblings. It'd be a courtesy for him to bring food to your other children, but he doesn't have to be courteous because he's not with you no more.
Yeah.
When he broke up with you, he broke up with the rest of your bastards.
And I just recall, and I used to be pissed off as a child because I felt like, I could have got a bigger gift had my sister not gotten a gift too. And that I used to think like that. That's just what me. I never said it out loud, and I never treated her that way. But she probably will watch this and realize I thought it. But I did. I think she would think it too, and she would say it too. My sister would say it too. I could have got a better gift if you didn't get something. But it's just the idea of it's the obligation to me. It's you obligating me to do what I don't have to do. Now I do think
he went so far to not even, because I don't know how he did it. He called her silly. He called her stupid. That part, he called her everything except for curse words. And I don't know how he did it because she'd have been so many bitches if it was me.
Well, I mean, that just shows you the level of respect that he has. When
it does. It shows that he was a different breed of man.
Yeah, but the part that makes me uncomfortable is he's getting dragged also on social media by individuals who are the pick me generation, choose me generation.
But they probably also have 6 and 7 kids that would have loved that man that actually had taken care of theirs. That's not his responsibility. And anybody that's looking for a man that you are not with to take care of the kids that are not his responsibility.
It's not just women, but it wasn't just women who I saw bashing him. It was other men. And I get it, because some of the men who I was raised around, they weren't the best men, but they would not have chosen to get one of us something over the other one because my mother wouldn't have played that. But
again,
it was
I completely agree with you because that is courtesy.
Yeah, right.
That is graciousness.
That I don't have to do. Right.
And he does not have to do that.
No, and it doesn't make him wrong. It doesn't. That's the point that I wanted to
make. But by her trying to embarrass him by doing that, that is why she got the backlash, because you embarrassed him for trying to take care of his child.
And
that's
it tells
stupidity.
Me, and even if it's not directly connected to, it really gives me insight on why y'all not together right now.
Right. Because she sounds like a gold digger. She sounds like a gold digger.
Well, that's not even, because you're not even digging for gold. You're digging for McDonald's fries at this point. You're not even digging for gold.
Because she kept saying you're trying to help me out. So he had to tell her, I'm not trying to help you out. I'm trying to get my son some food.
Yeah. Because as a mother, and I'm going to say this, as a mother, and people will probably hate it, as a mother, you should have said, hey, can you take him with you for an hour and do that? I don't want the other children to feel bad because they're not eating. But
here's the other part of that. What she could have also did too, because she started the video by saying he does this every week.
Yeah.
What you also could have did before he got there is called him and said, can you do me a favor? Could you get my other kids some food too? And this would have avoided the whole entire argument.
Just ask them. Just ask them to do it.
You could have asked them. You don't surprise somebody and on a video camera in their face talking about why you ain't bring my other kids no food. Bitch, you ain't asked me.
Yeah.
How the fuck I'm supposed to know the fathers ain't bring them no food?
Right.
They got me cussing. I ain't cuss all day. Hate this lady.
But I can see how my problem, and with all of this, both stories, I don't like you going to social media to make your gripes, because that's not going to make him do more for you. That's going to make him say, you know what, I'm going to court, so I don't have to go do this no more. I'm going to show them this viral video. You've gotten all these millions of views, and you embarrassed me.
Right.
I'm about to tax your pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Defamation of character. Bring me my money. Now you will buy me McDonald's every day. It's sad.
It's very asinine because there was a lot of different ways to handle that besides trying to embarrass me. Because that embarrassment is going to backfire on you. Like I said, we're going to court. On Monday, you should get your summons because we got to appear before the judge so he can solidify
family
the questions
court.
that I had.
Family court.
Exactly. I need to understand why she thought it was up to me to take care of her children. And then while in front of the judge, you can ask the judge, is she not receiving child support from her other baby's fathers? And then if he would have been like, okay, hold on, let's check those records. Oh, she is. Oh, so she could have got McDonald's for her fucking children, her goddamn self.
Yeah.
She chose not to, but she bought a goddamn wig and a whole bunch of makeup and slapped it on her face and then got in front of this car.
But the fact that she had the camera out meant she was expecting him.
I got a problem with her wig and her makeup. I'm sorry. I keep talking about
it. The first video with her having a video out before he even drove up meant she was expecting him. You could have simply said, hey, I'll give you $20 when you get here. Can you get something for all the kids? So
and avoid the conflict. Something
separate from him. Right, just avoid the conflict. And he probably would have said, I got you, I'll get it. Even if he said, okay, I want my $20, cash that me now.
Mm-hmm.
Even if he said that, I won't have $20 to, today. Well, I'm about to.
And what if that was his last little bit of money that he had? The rest of the money he had to use on gas. Gas.
That's why I say I think he should have come and got the child. But would she have let him go to get him this McDonald's?
He even gave that as an issue. Either make them move away while he eats, or bring him downstairs and he can eat.
That was the part that's the out of pocket part. So just go get your child.
Because he could have went in the room and ate by himself. They didn't have to go nowhere. He could have went away.
But if you know children, you can't do stuff like that to children. So you should have just come. So I would suggest for him, for future references, just come get your child.
You can do stuff like that when you tell them.
I'm wondering if she will even let the child go. If she knows that he's going to go get him something to eat.
I wish I knew how old these children were. I would like to know how old these children were, because I know what you mean by when you say you can't do that to the children.
Yeah, I want to know how many other fathers, and are they as involved as?
There's a lot of missing context to the story. It's a lot of missing context to the story because what I kind of get from her is looseness, that she's loose. I'm sorry.
Also, I'm gonna make my own sign. The views and opinions of the engineer/owner is not the view of the host. That's the sign. I need you to. I'm gonna make that video clip, and I want you to play that after you play yours. I want you to play that as soon as you. But I get it. It made me uncomfortable though, because you should as the mother.
But she actually admitted that she's loose, because you can come over here and dibble and dabble. She admitted the looseness.
And it may be a reason. It may be a reason why he said, you know what, I'm only buying myself something. Because for me, I don't, have you ever?
Because she probably has a problem with asking her other baby fathers for money or for food, for anything. But that's your responsibility.
Right.
Either you're going to woman up and be able to ask them for stuff, or you're not. If you're not going to be able to do it, you can't put that on the new man.
And I have a lot of friends that are either single moms or they have children. And when we go out, I always offer to pay for the child's meal. I'm not paying for your meal, but it sounds like to me this might be a case of you didn't buy me something to eat, so ain't nobody eat. That's what
she said. That's what she said.
No, not even the children. Her. He didn't get her something to eat. I bet you if he'd have brought her a Big Mac, she wouldn't be mad.
She probably gave the children each a pickle.
It was one video meme I saw where it was her face and it was the burger cut into 4 pieces. I said, you know what? I'm not playing with y'all.
What a waste.
That's why I was saying, like, those graphics behind it, I didn't watch the whole video. Because I couldn't watch the whole video. It was just too much. In a time right now where people need to communicate better, we really need to learn how to just communicate. You could have asked him. You were expecting him because you were already there at the door with the camera waiting for him.
Right.
So you could have said, hey, if I send you $10, $20, can you just get him some nuggets?
Because he had to say, I'm on my way.
Right. Can you bring what you got again? Can you just bring him something. I don't want them just sitting in here eating and none of them have McDonald's. And everybody knows because I work with children. So I'm not the teacher that's going to give one student something, sometimes I do, and not give the rest of the class something. Unless they are misbehaving or something. Other than that, I don't like doing that. I don't like when other teachers do it, or I don't like when other people do it. If you know it's going to be more children there, either don't get anybody anything or don't. And it's not siding with her because this is a special situation. That is his child. Now he needs to figure out, and it may be his only child. Hopefully it's his only child.
Mm-hmm.
But he has to learn how to navigate with other children because this is something that you have to learn. Like you never bring, when you know it's other children around, you never bring.
And that's another thing. That's the other thing. We don't know the history behind this. Because what if he does take the children with him when he picks up his son? We don't even know the ages of these children. How old are they? Apparently, he's the youngest, so the other children are older. Yeah, and so, like I said, we don't know the history behind that. What if he does, when he picks his son up, he does take the other kids with him and they go to the play park or something like that?
Well, they just bad as hell. And he don't want to be around too. Right.
What if they were the reason they broke up?
Because I damn sure was the reason why my mother broke up with a couple people. I'm just being real. Children are bad.
They are.
Be disrespecting that man and everything. And I'm speculating, but I can clearly see that it ain't as peachy clean as she trying to make it out to be.
Unfortunately, with her as a mother, I can see the attitudes in the children.
Yeah. They probably be calling that man out his name. You ain't my father. Okay.
Right.
Bitch, you're going to be hungry today.
That part.
You're going to be hungry.
And that's why you're hungry. That's exactly why your ass is hungry.
And that's, I can understand.
Now watch your little brother eat McDonald's now.
Right.
That's the kind of attitude.
And I can say in my situation with my sister's father, I can tell if I was a bad child, he probably would not have done as much. He probably would have did the bare minimum. But I was a respectful child too. I wasn't somebody you did, and I had a rapport with him. I can tell that he does not, even if being the father, and I'm only saying this because I gave a couple guys help. It may not have been that crispy clean of a relationship with him, especially being as though they were older. What if they are much older than a child? And that goes back to the point.
How old are the other children?
Right. When we were talking before, it was the emphasis on you knew I had children. Well, you knew you had children.
And you knew I was coming.
That's one of the reasons that men say they don't want to date.
You knew you had children and you knew I was coming. So you could have made arrangements for your other children to have McDonald's, but not off of my dime.
Yeah.
And that's where we're getting this fucked up. Because you're not going to spend my money on your other children.
No.
That's where we get that's the problem here.
Because I could care less of what the other fathers are doing. And I want to know how many other fathers is it. It's not important, but I want to know. And I want to know how involved they are with this younger child. Do they feel that sense of obligation? And one, are you making it too comfortable for other men to be comfortable with just claiming your children? Like that does something to them. But what I get is those children don't have the best relationship with him. And vice versa. He probably don't have the best relationship with them. And I could tell by her level.
Why did this exchange happen in the front door?
Yeah.
And not inside. Like, why wasn't he able to come inside and give his child the food?
Right. And we see that
he had to do this at the door. Y'all had to do a child exchange at the front door of your apartment.
And I'm just looking at the little clues because I could see that he communicates because she knew he was coming.
Right.
It wasn't like he just popped up and didn't.
And he told her. He had to have told her, "I'm bringing my son some food. I'll be right there."
Yeah.
You could have had the conflict was you wanted to catch him on video because you wanted to go viral. Now you got on all this makeup and this wig.
Though. It just sounds. I mean, the second video was just dumb, but the first video made you look completely stupid because it did not.
You started a fight. You started the fight.
Yeah. You could have just took the food and not gave it to him.
Or told him not to do it before he wasted his money.
Or just say, come get him. Can you just come get him and take him out?
It's so many other options than to try to embarrass this man. Because you wanted somebody to take, but see, the end result is that she wanted somebody to take care of her kids other than her doing her work.
And even on her side, even if you said, look, you can't keep coming here with food and I don't have enough to get them something. I got her saying that. And maybe that's behind her frustration. But what you do is say, here, come, can you take them for an hour? Take them, go get something to McDonald's, only down the street. Go
but see, that's what that part is what I don't have her ever saying. Can you just come get him and take him to lunch? I don't got her ever saying that.
That's because
in that motion, she could have been like, also, well, could you do me another favor and take the other ones and get them something? Because that was what she could have done.
I don't got that because I got her.
But again, in this whole entire thing, she could have said to him when he said, I'm about to bring my son some food, do you mind if you bring my other kids some food too? If you're trying to look for courteousness, then you have to start with it too.
And I'm not saying when you meet somebody with a child, don't date them. But these are the things that you have to become prepared for. Like,
and he probably was prepared for it. That's the thing. He probably was prepared for it up until we broke up. Then all bets are off.
But the game changed because it wasn't like their relationship just ended because they still had a child together.
Yeah.
So it makes it a little bit different. And I'm not siding with her, but I'm saying to the men out there that are doing this, you still have to have a certain level of fuck her, but let me just suck this up and
But here's the other part of this. What if now that they're not together, he is married? What if that's the kid? And throw that into the thing. You're now trying to spend another woman's money at the same time.
Right. Because it's just
or your kids, or your other kids.
But I see it as a form of control. Is this a form of control?
Yeah,
and you
that's what I'm saying. Because now they're not together. What if he moved on? He may have had this baby with you, but now he moved on. He got married and he got kids over there.
Because what I did not also see was if you were at the window waiting, where was the child at? And if this child is old enough to eat McDonald's on his own, where was the child at? Why didn't you have the child at the door?
Right. To receive his food. To see his father. How about that?
Well, those are the things that I was listening for in that conversation. But
there's so many open sections to the story. And her credibility is just it's gone for me. That's what I'm saying. Stop arguing with that girl. Stop arguing with her and deal with her in the courts. She is not somebody to play with. She is going to set you up for something that you ain't do. And you need to be prepared for her.
And how many other times has she recorded you? And what is she doing?
And she's still talking. Now she's showing her face and talking. Because she's clout chasing at this point.
Right. I don't know. I would think that this would be a form of defamation. Because not only is she bashing you, but she's posting it for millions.
Right, and then she brought up the fact that she said everybody says you're a good father.
Oh,
So you're trying to discredit me. You're trying to discredit me on purpose. You said that in your first initial video. You got everybody thinking that you were a good father. He said, I am a good father.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here. And he was showing the proof is in the pudding because he was there in the first place to bring the food.
He was like, I'll come here every other day with something, and
her
she probably doing the same thing. Yeah.
Her anger is developing because she had the poor decision making on herself for her other baby's fathers.
Yeah.
And actually, what it's looking like, what's coming real clear to me is she is the problem.
Well, that was
in all of her relationships. She's the problem because I bet you they left her. They all left her because of shit like this. Because she does stuff like this. I got this being her MO that she wants to try to embarrass everybody in her life, which is probably why the other baby fathers are not around. Which is why she's putting all the shit on him. There is something underlying about this chick that is sticking out like a sore thumb.
Well, it just appears that this is how this is how we communicate. This is how I communicate. And it rubs me the wrong way because I know there are a lot of fathers that are trying, and there are just as many that are not trying and don't give any damn. But this was the wrong type of person to do this to. If you have somebody that's, and maybe he wasn't always the best father, maybe this is something that is current for him, but you have somebody that's trying. So work with them, not against them, because that just makes people not want to do anything. And it's probably the reason why he doesn't do anything for the other children, because you probably tried to obligate him to pick up off allegedly where the other father
and exactly. And then once you do one thing, once you do this kind of gesture once, then you're going to start expecting it all the time.
Yeah.
And that's not what I'm trying to sign up for. That's not what he's trying to sign up for. They not his kids.
And that's probably why they're not together no more.
Especially when like I said, we don't even know this man's story. We don't know this man's story. We don't know this girl's background. But we know what we see. And what we see is that this man was trying. And what we also see is that we don't know if this man probably got 2 other kids on the way or whatever the case may be. His life might be in shambles, and he doing his hardest and his best to try to be there.
But in the second video, she gives us a lot of insight on that. Not in detail, but she says when we were together, you were doing all those things. Right. And now that we're not together, you're not doing it.
Because when I broke up with you, I broke up with your damn kids. I didn't break up with mine, but I broke up with yours because they're not mine.
And that happens. That's why I always, if I have a friend that's about to be with somebody with a child, I always tell them that, because as a child who has gone through that, especially if it's one that you like or you became attached to, and that's one of the reasons why I never became attached to anybody my mom was dating. But it just, my dad. But in some cases, you just,
because
you
it's
have
dating.
to understand.
That's the other point of it, because it's dating. They're just dating.
Yeah, but what if they live together? Maybe that was a whole nother dynamic. But somebody not to want to do something, right? For somebody not to want to do something for your children, that's something either between you and that person or that person and your children. Mm-hmm. That's typically, and children are horrible with adults. They don't know what to say out their mouth. They're very ungrateful. And maybe he just like, I know this is my, but I'm gonna just say, just take the time, come get your child, have an hour or so to be able to spare, and go spend some quality time with your child. Don't leave it up to her or give her that power over your deeds anymore, because you can obviously see that she's not in it for you or for her child. And that's children. The part. Well, she in it for the other children because she going hard for them, but she not.
I don't know why, because it ended in nothing for no one.
And she got on camera with her best on, and I give her that. But it didn't prove your point.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, if he takes this to court and then they standing in front of the judge, and he has this video, and he pulls this video up and plays this video for her, and the first thing that the judge is going to be like, you really threw the food away? You really just you just claimed that none of your kids got nothing to eat, and you threw a nice meal all over the ground. Is this what you really did as a mother?
No. Because that was
at least one of the kids could have ate that down. I mean, because at least one of the kids could have ate, and maybe 2 of the kids could have had a French fry too. Well, but you threw the whole meal.
She could have came up off a couple dollars. Like, if I give you a couple dollars, can you, get some nuggets, get the family size nuggets?
And you didn't even give him you didn't give him like, even if he didn't bring it automatically, you didn't say, hey, can you do me a favor and ride back to McDonald's real quick and get my other children some food? Because I don't get my food stamps to the 11th.
But that would, for me, that would have been out of control because you knew where I was coming from.
But that's again, that's what I'm saying. Again, she, like you said, he had already communicated to her that he was on his way with this food. Right. So that was the whole opportunity she could have had to express. Can you bring my other children some food? And you didn't do it.
I really do.
This was a setup because she is clout chasing.
Right.
Hard. She don't want to be on food stamps no more, so she wants to be an artificial celebrity. Yeah. That's why she did this new video with makeup caked up to her ears and a whole brand new wig.
Because what was the point of us knowing who you
Right. Why you ain't stay faceless?
Because at first she was faceless in the other one.
That's what I said. Why she ain't blur her face out like she did his?
Well, I think that was probably done on social media. Because I haven't seen. I tried to find the original post, and it's probably been taken down or flagged by now. But that probably was other people blurring his face.
I just
because I don't got her being respectful enough to do that. You don't ever introduce yourself to Monty because you're gonna be disrespectful. I'm not gonna say nothing to you because I don't have any words for you. But I just thought.
Who was you talking to?
I was talking to the lady if she was listening.
Oh,
if she was listening, because I just saw this as damaging. I saw it as
it's humiliating.
The child was right there.
He should be. The father is humiliated.
I would be so distraught.
I think she should be humiliated now because I wouldn't even have commented. I would have let this die. I wouldn't have even came back and said after everybody, all these people now, everybody's bashing me. You're being bashed for your stupidity.
Your life is a bash.
Yeah, you being bashed because the way you act when you chose these niggas to be your baby's fathers.
No,
they're not doing their responsibility. You choose your course in life, and you chose it.
But you don't see him, and maybe nobody has posted it yet, but you don't see him on social media, griping about this. And he has every right to because you blasted him. You put a camera in his face.
But I wouldn't even come back to social media. If he is doing social media to respond to her, stop. Respond at court.
Yeah, the way it matters.
Make the court make her stop. Make the courts make her stop with the repercussion that you will lose your child support.
Screenshot it, video shot that, and send it right to your lawyer or your public defender if you can't afford one.
Because that's the whole, everybody always say child support is not a replacement for taking care of a child, but it kind of is. But it kind of is.
But it's not.
That is the whole, that's the point.
Enough.
It's not enough. No, I'm not saying it's enough, but that was the point of it. When two people separate, here's what you're going to get in lieu of him being there full time.
Which is a fraction. It's probably often a fraction. And sometimes,
it depends on how much money you make.
Right, but it's still a fraction. It's not.
It's a fraction of his salary. But if you make a big salary, that fraction, it can be sustainable.
Right.
We don't know what that man do. He was clearly nicely dressed. I don't know what that sweatsuit was from, but okay.
We don't know where they from either. That could have been hot where they from. Chicago.
That's what you see what I'm saying? It could have been his own design too.
Mm-hmm. I felt the frustration in his voice, and many people are.
And he was so. That's why I say he was so not going off, because he could have gone off with a whole bunch of cuss words. Clearly, he was calling her silly. He was calling her little dumb little name. Small words. Because he wasn't trying to make the situation. You could tell he was trying his hardest not to make the situation worse.
Right. Well, when you call somebody,
but when you threw the food, that's when all bets are off for me. I'm going to the courthouse right now.
Especially when a meal from McDonald's is like $12 now. If you did what? That could have went in my tank.
Right. That should have went in my child's belly.
Yeah. I never been. Oh man, because
I always instruct them to do that anyway. If you don't have a good relationship with your baby's mothers, you need to just take it when you come to deal with your child. You need to grab your child and go. Period. Don't argue with her. Don't do nothing. Don't incite no argument. Don't say nothing that's going to incite an argument. Do your responsibilities. Get your child. If she's doing all that hollering and yelling,
they have apps now. That you don't even have to communicate physically with the person.
Exactly. That's what if you're doing all that hollering and yelling in the background, you just stay focused. Stay focused on what your goal is. To get your child, put them in the car, leave. Get out of there as fast as possible. Just deal with your responsibilities. Her issues are her issues. Let her keep
something like that. It would force me to show up every time with my camera on and running. Like I would have to, because it would be unsafe being in her space, being as though she's not somebody that has proven that she can be an adult.
That's why we always got these school parking lot drop-offs now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll pick my kid up we'll pick them up in a mutual location outside of each other's homes, and we'll exchange them there.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why we have that now. That's so stupid.
It's sad. It's more sad. Because that means you can't even get it together to communicate simply over your child.
I'm having a day.
And that means that one of the adults have not let go yet. And they're using this child as a means to continue the drama, which is dumb, but yeah. This is just weird.
But if I walked up to all right, we in a relationship. And and you was coming over to bring your child some food. And I came up to you and said, "Did you get my other kids food?"
Mm-mm. That's me. I would have put that
because you. And then I would have been. All right, wait a minute. No, let's finish the scenario. Why?
Because they're not my kids.
There we have it. I mean, there's nothing else that needs to be said after that. When you confirm that they're not my kids, I have no defense.
None.
I don't know how she fixed her face to say, but how you gonna bring one kid one and the other one's nothing because you ain't called their parent?
And the thing, right? You didn't get a permission slip. They didn't send money to school to get them nothing to eat.
So because you forgot to call their fathers to get them to bring them McDonald's.
But what I keep saying, and that's why I listened to the first one a couple of times, because it showed me that he probably was doing these things, and she confirmed it. He was doing these things, and for whatever reason, it stopped. And that's the part that she didn't expound on or even touch in her follow-up video, because it was dumb. It probably was on her that he's no longer doing it anymore. Mm-hmm. Did you cheat? Did you go back to one of the other baby fathers? Did you lie? Did you obligate me to do things that these other fathers should be doing and I don't feel like I should be doing? Like, it just wasn't. It wasn't a thing. Like, I remember my mother got married the second time. My stepfather, it wasn't when I asked my mother, even if she went to him to get money, which I think she probably didn't do because she worked. It was never, well, go ask him. It was, she gave it to me. It was never his. And that's, I think I get that from my mother. I never obligate people to do anything for me. Mm-hmm. I'll do it for myself before I rely on you to do it.
And that's the interesting part.
Those other things were my responsibility. They're not yours.
You're right. And that's the interesting part, because she also said, what she say, when we was together, you did it. Yeah. Because I was courting you.
We were together.
Because I was courting you. The courtship has ended.
Even that, even without that being so, we were together. So they were.
And that's what I'm saying. The courtship ended. The courtship ended. So everything that was a benefit, that was a benefit for that relationship has ended too. The relationship don't continue. Your benefits don't continue when the relationship ends. That's it. Your kids lost the benefit too.
I can't come to cookouts. I can't come to, just
so when I take my son school shopping, I'm supposed to pick your fucking kids up a whole plethora of clothes too. Hell no.
That's where it gets uncomfortable, because where does that line stop? Is it simply when you bring him something to eat, or if it's every time I do something for my child, I got to do something for
the rest of your baby?
Those children too.
No.
I could have swore I heard him. Like, I don't think he said it directly, but I didn't want to be in no relationship with you. I felt like that's what was saying. I gotta listen to it again, but I just get, this is why they're not in a relationship. Your mouth, miss. Your mouth, and you run into social media for everything. Because I want to know what she thought she was gonna get out of this. Like, what did you think was gonna happen when you went to social media? Did you think I was gonna Uber eat you 3 more meals? Like, what happened? What was gonna happen, miss? Was I gonna be so embarrassed that now I bring 4 meals every time? Like, I just want to know what her end game was. And what did you expect was going to happen when you decided to go live? And she was waiting for him. It wasn't like we got the clip at the point of her throwing the food down or them in the middle.
She was standing in the building and then he pulls up.
You were waiting for him.
So he told you that he was almost there.
Yeah. Because today I'm gonna show y'all. I'm gonna blast him. I'm gonna get him. So you were waiting for it.
So your intention was to embarrass the father of your child.
Defamation of character.
Which is negative. That's already starting off a negative basis.
Run me those food stamps. I want those food stamps.
Yeah, right. So your intentions was it was a negative basis. And then you wholeheartedly fulfilled it.
Because and I'm just, based off what I've been saying, because him possibly winning a defamation lawsuit against her, because this is social media now. Millions of people have seen that clip.
Mm-hmm.
This could cost her child. He could get custody for this.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And I would not expect for any, and I'm not a lawyer, but I would expect for any lawyer or judge to see this and think otherwise. Like you shouldn't have those children.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's being courted by attorneys right now.
Get that child.
Because one thing for sure, and two things for certain, where would I be Monday morning? At court.
And it's an uncomfortable thing, but I'm seeing a lot of fathers win paternity or, family court cases.
I cannot see this being their only argument, their only issue. Because she seems toxic. She seems toxic to me.
Yeah. And she kept calling him petty. I was like, miss, this whole thing you're doing is petty.
This video is petty. For McDonald's food. That you wasted.
On the food. Right. It's petty. Like, that's pettiness to me. Like, I need you to figure out what you're
Because if you really had the issue, and the issue was that you didn't want your kids to see your other child eating in front of them, then again, you should have brought him downstairs with you to pick up his food, and they could have sat right there in their car and ate.
He said all 5 of them live in an apartment. That's what he's saying right now. That's the cheap shot. You gotta watch out for Marty because he throws stuff in there like that.
I don't know if it's a studio or what. Because they apparently all sleep in the same room. Because remember what he said? Remember he said, why don't you put them in the room and let them eat? Because they only got 2 bedrooms.
Put them in the kitchen and let them eat. Mm-mm-mm. But just long story short,
because the other question was, or bring him down and he could eat. So that means it's only 2 bedrooms.
Went down to the car, out the apartment.
Right, but he told her to put them in the room and let him eat.
He didn't say go to another room.
Like it was multiple. It's only 2. Her room and their room.
I just got my Instagram back. I'm not.
And I get and just to say this, I get what you say. I mean, I get the feeling of the kids having to watch their brother eat in front of them while they don't have any food. I get that. But because your excuse is you don't get your food stamps till the 11th. Because apparently you only want to spend food stamps on food versus giving him $20 to go pick your other kids up something to eat. Because your only excuse is to say, I don't have no cash. Then you mistakenly threatened me with this video versus asking me to pick your kids up some food. Because that's your fault now. I just turned this around on you because you could have asked me to get your kids some food.
Right, like, so say if it's like the night and you're like, look, I don't have it, and I'm doing bad right now. Can you help me? I got a couple dollars. Can you put in and get us something to eat tonight?
Right.
I got, he didn't seem like an unreasonable man. He sounded like, he did have levels of prayer, but he was doing the right thing.
You're going in and out.
Oh, going to sound, but I think that was really, just do better. Whoever you are, miss, just do better and realize You know, but this is a gimme generation.
I really wonder if she actually sat back and watched her own video.
She did.
Because she can't see that herself is reasonable in this video.
Because she didn't. For her putting that video out there, because I watched a lot of the comments and they was speculating over what she looked like. So that's probably why she came on camera ready. Hair swinging, makeup popping in the middle of a day.
I hope she responds to me and tells me that it's a loan. She borrowed it from somebody. She borrowed that weed.
My friend let me have this weed.
I want her to say that to me, because then I would be able to accept it, because that looked like some virgin hair.
Well, if you go to many of the clips that are out there on this, you'll see them commenting on what she may look like. Mm-hmm. This first one, because you don't see her, you just hear her, and she sounded like a hot ghetto mess. But it's weird to me that she would even post a second video explaining, but she was defending herself. She wasn't even explaining herself. She was just defending herself, which is weird to me. Because why? Why do you feel the need to defend yourself? It's been said, you know, it is what it is. But, you know, let's just figure out something else, because this ain't working. And you look foolish. It's the graphics behind her for me. It's the graphics. She got lashes.
Just in case y'all needed to know what she looked like.
She got lashes on and everything. Mm-hmm. Her nails done. She got her titties out. The food stamp coupon. I haven't seen one of them in so long. That caught me off guard. All the different Happy Meal boxes over the years. The sandwich right there fucked me up. The sandwich.
I wonder what the point was. You could have got your kids and you just go see them make them some toast. Like,
no food stamps. Oh my God, I have not seen a food stamp coupon in so long. I forgot what they had looked like. Kids eat free. I couldn't even really listen to it because I was watching all these graphics. That buy one get one coupon got me. What is wrong with her? I want to know more. I want to know how many other fathers it is.
I want to know who hurt her. Because this is learned behavior. This is learned behavior. She learned this.
Right. But ultimately it was him, because he didn't want to put up with her. And she probably thought he was going to be the one to save her.
Because is this an experience that you had where somebody had to buy you and your siblings something to eat? Like, that's learned behavior.
Or she had to watch somebody else eat.
Or she watched somebody, or somebody did that disgruntledly to her, and she watched them eat in front of her. Yeah. Or she was that child that was eating in front of her siblings and didn't like it.
No, I got her being the one who had to watch. Or, you know, she was in school and somebody's father brought them a Lunchable and she didn't have one. She couldn't get one. Like, that's
because it all wraps around full circle. Because while we're talking about this being right or wrong,
that sandwich though, that toast.
Because while we're sitting here talking about this being right or wrong, it all goes back full circle to you chose all of your baby fathers.
Maybe she did. Maybe that's the bitterness.
But you had all of these kids. And now have to face the consequences that each one of these have individual personal relationships with different men.
But sometimes that's not the case. Some of these children were not a result of a loving relationship. It was a one-night stand, or, you know.
Again, you chose the route you took.
I mean, but honestly, that's not always the truth, because it may be just circumstantial. Like, it may be, you know, she has a lot of insecurities, but, you know, that leads you to sleep with
outside of rape. Outside of rape, she made these decisions and had these kids. And had these kids by multiple men. And now has chosen to make it a responsibility of the latest man to take care of her kids. And that's not acceptable.
I just hope it's not 4 other men. or 3 other men.
Mm-hmm. But regardless, if the other ones aren't doing what they're supposed to do, this is why your ass out.
Mm-hmm. And I've seen that happen before, where one father didn't do for the child, and you tried to make the last father pay for, or one of the other fathers pay for that.
Pay for your shortcomings. That's not okay. That's not okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't like that part. I don't like that at all, because that will make somebody not want to do for you, or do more than they have to do for you, because now you're obligated. And it's one thing to be like, hey, this dude not doing what he's supposed to do. Can you help me? Like, after a while,
that's part of the problem, because like I said, he might, what if he don't like you? Like he really does not like you. He hates your guts. And the only reason why he's coming around is because he has a child with you.
Well, what if he hates those children? It could be the children.
Well, it could be the children too. Yeah. Everybody keeps considering the fact that he didn't do this out of hate. That he didn't bring them kids out of food out of hate. No, he is taking care of his own responsibilities, and his responsibility is only to that child that belongs to him.
And we
so we're right back to that word of courteousness. It would be courteous if he would have brought the other kids from school food.
But we don't know what the relationship is with the other children either, because they could very well be disrespectful.
Mm-hmm.
And him just not feeling, or it
and
could
that's
be
learned behavior, because he got. And where did he get that from? Because I feel it.
It could be a constant thing of her asking him to do something for the other children, and him like, well, where's the other fathers at? Fathers at? Why can't they do this? Why am I having to do this every time? And
I'm showing you behavior of I'm showing you proper behavior of a father, and you not expecting this out of the other niggas. I don't get it. Like, I'm showing you that I'm going to come here and take care of mine. Why are you not expecting this out of the rest of your baby's fathers? They should be here. They should have pulled up right behind me with bags of McDonald's too. And then what you would have said? If the other fathers would have pulled up behind me with bags of food, what would you have said?
Or if it would have been 2 out of the 4. No, if y'all both can't buy one of the other children something, no, none of them are eating.
That's ridiculous.
How y'all just gonna bring something for both of your children and not for the other 2 children too?
Because that's one of the questions that he should have said in his responding to her. Did the other ones bring food for my son?
But see, at that point,
no, because they never brought food at all.
But see, that shows me his level of respect, because he's not even concerned with the other father. This is what I'm doing for mine.
Right.
What you got, whatever deal you got with them other jokers, that's what you got with them.
Exactly.
But I'm gonna take his mine. And I've heard men say stuff like that.
But which is why you can feel that this is misdirected anger. She's directing anger that she needs to be directed at those other fathers. She's directed it at him because he's doing what he's supposed to do. It's conflict issues, and she has that probably with every man in her life.
But she's like you said, she's taking it out on him, which is wrong, because you potentially go push him away. Mm-hmm. Now, should this be the reason for him to stop doing pushed out? No. But you probably gonna limit even what he does for his own child, because
he probably is never going to do this situation again. He's never going to do this again. I'm not just going to bring food. I'm coming to get my son. Period.
I said just as often, maybe him saying it doesn't ring true to her. Maybe she need to hear that from the family court. That he's not obligated.
That's what I'm saying. This needs to be resolved in family court. This family court needs to say, you need to drop your son off, or he needs to come pick him up. But we need to do this at a mutual location where there cannot be. And I'm going to instruct, and then probably one of the instructions in the thing will be that we're going to have somebody there that is I can't think of the word right now, but it's not involved in this situation to mediate the exchange.
A mediator. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but and it's hard when it gets to that point, because that means you're not even mature enough to communicate over the cause of your child. And it makes it hard, because in my mind, like, was the child right there listening to this?
Mm-hmm. And the court is also probably going to instruct her not to record anything else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're doing.
He knew exactly what she was doing.
No, but she don't know what she was doing as far as how it condemns herself.
Affects him. Or affects him.
Or affect herself in her own standing. Because you asked the question, and your question was, why did you only bring one food item to my kid? Because it's only for my child. It's
only have one child.
Right. And that's not a wrong answer.
It's not. And I understand a lot of people would say, well, he should. And I'm a person that agrees with that, because my experience has been the other father made sure I had just as much as the other child had. But that wasn't their responsibility. I probably would have felt some kind of way if my sister was eating McDonald's the way I love McDonald's, or pizza the way I love pizza, and I didn't get anything. I would have been pissed off. But I get that. But at the same time, it would have been my mother's responsibility to explain to me, that's not your father, and he doesn't have to do anything for you. Now, I'm going to get you something to eat. What do you want to eat?
Now, see, I've had that experience before. Now, that one I've had. Actually, I've had this. No, I didn't. I've had that experience of a parent bringing me food, and not my sister.
Mm-hmm.
I've had that before. I've had that experience. It wasn't nothing to negate whether or not my sister was hungry or not, because my sister is outspoken just as much as I am, and would have asked my father, could you get me something to eat too? She would have did that on her own. She's 7 years older than me. So she would have did that on her own.
That's a nice thing, right?
She's that much older than me that she can speak for herself.
So you're not going to bring me something to eat?
That's exactly what she would have said. And he would have understood. And he would have understood, because him and my sister had a relationship.
Yeah.
But the difference being, he was not obligated to do it.
Yeah.
And she joked, and I remember this like it was yesterday, where that same attitude like you just gave, my sister was like, you ain't bring me nothing to eat, but she was joking. Because she could go out and get her own food, or she could go in the kitchen and get something to eat.
Right. It's just feeling.
But if you're sitting in the house and you don't have no food because you're waiting for your food stamps, then that's out of goddamn control already. Do you understand that? You see what I'm saying? But you see what I'm going at with that?
I do, but
in the house with multiple baby fathers and you don't have no damn food. There's something wrong with this picture.
And that is what rang true to me this whole time. It's just the obligation.
Because why was he bringing him McDonald's in the first place? Because the son must have said, I'm hungry.
Yeah.
And we don't have no food.
Right. Yeah.
There's nothing to eat in here, Dad. But you got this wig. Okay. I'm never mind.
And the eyelashes and your nails done.
And you ain't put no food in the house.
I peeped it.
McDonald's is on Uber Eats. McDonald's is on DoorDash. McDonald's is on Grubhub. You can get it.
They got their own app that delivers.
Exactly.
But I get it. You don't have enough money for the service fees. I get it, because I feel that way. But I'm just, it's still an obligation thing for me. And I'm just looking at the many people that I know who have multiple or sets of children and how they would have handled that. And I just don't, even on his behavior, he has to learn as a man, there are obligations for you. And not even from her, but just those children. But I'm thinking in this situation, he could just be petty, but also he could not have a good relationship with the children.
Right.
Or with the other children's fathers.
Right.
Like, there's a lot of variables that go into these relationships.
And I've seen that before too, where the other fathers be like, don't do nothing for my child.
Guess what? Okay.
Just being that petty. Don't do nothing for my child, because I got mine.
You really said.
And you have to, and being the other man, you have to respect that. If he don't want you to take care of his child, don't do it.
You really said. Don't threaten me with a good time.
Right.
Because only my child would eat.
It's unfortunate that that child may suffer in the time being, but between you getting what you want to do for your child and what that other man could have did for your child in that moment, that child might have to suffer. Unfortunate, but obligation.
And it's just what your response is. Just it boils out the communication, because it was weird to me that she was expecting him and she did this. But the same way you were expecting him, you couldn't communicate with like, look, I'm on my last couple dollars. Can you get all of them something to eat today? Because I really don't have it to go out.
It was a simple request, and he could have said yay or nay, and then this would have been no conflict.
But I don't get it being that easy with her.
No, because she's conflict based. You can tell. That's why she wanted to come back and reiterate what she said and how she felt, and that she wanted to, and she meant it. Period.
Yeah.
Remember she said
yeah. I don't get it. I don't feel like
she's firm in her stance that she believes she's right. But let the court spell it out for her, sir. Let the court spell it out for her how wrong she was.
And see,
because I believe if in any case she's probably getting child support for all of those children.
Mm-hmm. She maybe or may not.
Maybe or maybe not. Yeah. But they probably down child support. They might not be paying it, but they're there.
He is putting people out there. Shout out to all the fathers.
And if they're not there, that's another problem. Right. That's her fault. Again.
I don't want to take him downtown. I really love him. He gonna turn around one day.
Right.
Do something for his child.
And not bring no McDonald's.
I'm just, my curiosity, and I'm gonna do something like, who is how many other fathers are there? What was the dynamic of the relationship between him and the children? Why did they break up?
What was her dynamic in the relationship between them two?
Right. Like why? And that's
why does he keep going back and dabbling in her coochie?
Does she let him?
That too. She was just horny.
And he probably don't do it no more. So now
why did y'all exchange that food in the doorway if y'all are constantly every now and then having sex? Why he didn't come in?
Oh, it could have been another father there.
Mm-hmm.
Or the new dude
was there.
New dude was there.
And he had McDonald's already.
And the new dude only brought her McDonald's.
That's what her frustration from. Because he brought McDonald's for himself and not everybody. And she's taking it out on him. There we go. That's the story.
There's so many different variables to this. But whatever the variable is, just do better. Stay off of social media with all your problems, because it just doesn't, it makes you lose defamation character. Defamation. I.e. Amber Heard, i.e. what's the other girl with Cardi B? I don't even remember her name.
Me either. I know what you're talking about, though.
You don't even know your name, and you gotta pay $4 million. Damn, you was this mess all the way up. But it's the same thing. Like, stay off of social media, because that's, even if you go choose violence and pettiness, it's gonna cost you. And this may cost you.
I also wish she would have put some comments. She would have had, if she was going to do this, it should have been a question. Yeah. I would have accepted this a little bit more than just the video itself. But if she would have put some commentary to it, maybe asking the question, do you think that he should have brought food for the rest of the children, yay or nay?
How would you have handled it?
How would you have handled it? I think I would have been more considerate to her.
Or even was I overreacting?
Okay, good one. That's a good one. Because I think I would have been a little bit more considerate to her stance.
Yeah.
If she had prefaced this with some commentary, a little bit more than just showing us what you did.
Because simply because y'all were in a relationship before does not obligate him today. Because you're no longer in a relationship. And
how many interactions since y'all broke up did he have with them children?
Yeah.
Because what if they broke up? They broke up 2 years ago. Because it sounds like this child is not no child. Like, again, like you said, he's eating McDonald's. Yeah. This ain't no young kid no more. This is a toddler, maybe older than that at this point.
These are young parents, because that child could have been 3, and he would have got McDonald's.
That's what I'm saying. He could be a toddler, and he could be almost 4, 5, 6. And again, how long has it been since he interacted with the rest of your kids? He probably don't know nothing what's happening with their fathers or none of that is what I'm getting at. So you trying to put them kids on him because you have them already is not fair.
But it sounds like he
wasn't dating your children. He was dating you. And again, he was not your husband. So them kids really are not his responsibility. Y'all were dating.
I just think
y'all were boyfriend and girlfriend. You can call a relationship whatever you want. If you weren't married, he had no legal obligation to the motherfuckers.
And I really feel like he has a lot more to this story than what she's saying. And I'm very interested. I'm very much so be interested in what he had to say. But I just feel like it's way more to the story. And you need to stay off of social media because you're making yourself seem foolish. And you're going to give social service a reason to give you an audit. Just do better, people. I don't want to keep talking about y'all foolishness because I don't do well with that. But this was one of those spirited conversations. I picked this one because I knew Marnie would go off. I just felt like he would. I didn't.
My whole entire neck is throbbing right now. I can't stay at her.
It was just dumb. Like in your mind, oh yeah, I'm a blast him. Oh yeah, people gonna think he real dumb. No, it backfired, miss.
I believe it did.
People think you are the dumb because you have a father that shows up for his kid.
Because I was watching, what's his name? Ty, the comedian Ty. He always dressed up like the old woman.
Yeah.
And he's in agreement with her.
I mean, but that's what I said. A lot of men were commenting against him. Like, dude, like, why you ain't just buy all the children something? Because some other children might be disrespectful as hell. Or I may have run into a problem with the other baby father or fathers. It's a bunch of different variables. And I'm not just siding with him, but her throwing him under the bus like this is proof of why you're not with him no more. He don't like
or
him.
You didn't ask me to buy them something to eat. How am I supposed to know you didn't make a full-fledged lunch for your children?
Yeah.
But my son, the one I talk to on the phone, because I don't talk to your other bastards on the phone. I talk to mine.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm so through with this girl, I don't know what to say. I talked to my son on the phone, and my son told me he was hungry. He didn't say we. He said, Dad, I'm hungry. Can you bring me some Mickey D's? Because that's how it went with me. Dad, I'm hungry. Not, Ma, are you hungry? No, because I'm not calling in the room to ask her if she's hungry, because that's not her father. It's my father. So I'm on the phone with my father. My father is about me and me alone.
But see, I'm just the opposite. Like when I will always be like, can you give me this? And I will order something extra for my sister. But would my sister do that for me?
Would order something extra for your sister.
No.
You were the older brother. This is the younger. We don't think like that in the younger. I'm sorry, we don't. No. And then we got our own parents. We younger and we got our own parents. We are conceited with our parents.
Yeah.
Because we already got to divide up our time between mom, how much we're going to do with mom, how much is going to be just me and mom.
No, I got
no. And then I got to add my sibling to my father too. No.
Yeah.
Not that it's not selfish. It's not even selfish. I said conceited, but it's not even that. That's my dad alone.
And see, maybe, but see, like with my stepfather, my mother and my stepfather, they adopted other children. Mm-hmm. I never felt obligated to him because those were the children that they had together. Mm-hmm. I never felt like, oh, you should do something for me too. So when he did something, my mother raised me to be gracious. So right. I never felt
gratitude
like
goes a long way.
You said what?
Gratitude. You're right. Mm-hmm.
It does, but that's just something that's already in you. If it's not in you, you do stuff like
that. And I don't get that from her. She's not gracious. She doesn't have a gratuitous bone in her body.
But this is the gimme generation. Like,
right. The point that he is there to take care of his child should be accepting wholeheartedly, whether he took care of your other kids or not. The one doesn't outweigh the all, but it does in this particular moment because that is his child.
But you can also understand, even after having multiple children, she's not getting the lesson of a mother, because a mother would have, even in one scenario, she would have said, hey, can you just come get him versus you bringing that? Because I really don't have the money this week to buy.
I actually can feel how my mother would have reacted to the situation, because she would have been snarky. It wouldn't have been no video and all this other kind of stuff. She would have just said, don't worry about it, because I'll get my motherfucking kids some food myself. That's what my mother would have said. You ain't got to worry about it. I'd have got my kids. I'll get them some McDonald's in a minute. Hold on, let me call somebody. That's what my mother would have did.
For Uncle Charlie to come.
You know what I'm saying, though? But she would have made a way. Instead of trying to make a video to embarrass the one good father that you apparently have.
But I don't think my mother even would have said anything. She would have just did it.
That's what I'm saying. That's why my mother would have probably mumbled that under her breath. But she would have did it. She would have got the food. If she wanted my children to have McDonald's, and she wanted her children to have McDonald's, she would have got it done.
Yeah.
And be damned on a nigga.
Yep.
But to do this for the one man that is showing up.
Yeah. And it gotta be I just look, and it may not be, I may be reading too much, but it's a reason why he didn't do it. It's he could be petty, but it may be a reason deeper than that he chose not to do it.
Then it may not be a reason. It could be just that. How is he supposed to know you didn't make lunch for the rest of the kids? They're not his responsibility, so they're not in the forefront of his mind. Just because they live together doesn't mean that they're not eating. You keep, like she kept saying, I don't get my food stamps until the 11th. Bitch, I don't know that. Your food stamps ain't my responsibility. I'm over here paying my bills. The fuck I'm worried about your food stamps for?
She just telling herself left and right. So you said
that's how that would have went with me. Bitch, I don't know about your damn food stamps. I can't get any because I work.
That's how we work.
Now, if we were talking about our mutual food stamps, then let's talk about that. But I can't get them because I have to go out here and grind and bring my son McDonald's every day. And then you got 4 kids, so I'm well sure you probably get almost $800 of food stamps. So, bitch, I ain't trying to hear none of this.
PBT card.
Because you get 150 guaranteed for yourself, and then probably 200 for each individual child. Girl, I'm not trying to hear none of this shit. Fuck that.
It's 200 for each child?
It's for pandemic rates.
Oh, wow. That makes me want to go have a child.
Like I was reading in some of the comments, it was like she probably sold her food stamps. And I know that's probably how she got that motherfucking virgin.
Oh, he said she was a crack. Holy crack. That's wrong.
I'm gonna let the wig go. I'm done. I'm done with the wig.
Somebody's gonna get right. Can we go over your financial statements, please? We just wanted to make sure,
And all those individual eyelashes, because they cost too.
Yeah, she had. I saw the nails done, had an eyelash, some makeup. That wig could have been brushed a little bit, but hey, I'm not here to judge.
I'm not judging. I don't feel like. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Up the wig. You are definitely here to judge.
Up here. This is what I do.
This has been another edition of the Artist Exchange Radio Show. Next week, we'll have a whole different batch of topics. We do have a couple guests scheduled for July, but just bear with me, people. I'm tired. Entrepreneurship will have you working 80 hours straight, no breaks, no vacation.
Coming back next week.
Yeah, I'll be here next week.
No, I'm coming back next week.
We won't be here on the 18th, the week of the 18th.
Yeah. Nope. I'll be in the Cayman Islands.
I think that's the 23rd or the 22nd. We won't be here on the 22nd. We'll be here next weekend and a week after the 22nd. So it's been another edition. Please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter at the Artist Exchange Radio Show and Be Exposed Radio. Go to our website, beexposedmedia.com, and check out all of our articles and music. Definitely input your music info at beexposedradio.com. If you want to be a guest, hit me up on any of my social media platforms, or I don't check Twitter because Twitter is, I'm about to cancel Twitter. Twitter has gotten really raunchy and really disrespectful in a sexual manner. So, yeah, but beyond that, peace out, people. Enjoy your weekend. Happy 4th of July to the white people. We already had our 4th of July. But we're going to take the day off anyway.
I was going to say something about that wig again. I'm going to let go.
Yeah, please. Write it in the article.